The February 2nd, 2021 special Board of Education meeting. I will call the meeting to order and invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We do have an opportunity for brief, or not for brief, but sorry, need to step back. I do need to take a roll call of board members first, please. You think after a year of doing these virtually, I would remember to do that. Let's see. Treasurer Byrd.
Here.
Trustee Collins.
Here.
Trustee Maury.
Here.
Trustee Mashad.
Here.
Vice President Polverento. And here, and Secretary Wheeler. I am not seeing her. All right, we will hopefully hear from Secretary Wheeler soon. Now we can move into correspondence and comments from the public. We did actually receive some correspondence following the last board meeting, but that will be reported at the next regular board meeting. But we do still have the opportunity for comments from the public, noting that this evening's meeting is for a very specific reason, which is a student disciplinary action. But comments are welcome from the community on any topic. As per our practice, individuals are allowed up to 5 minutes to speak. This is not an interactive portion of the agenda. It is an opportunity for the public to share comments or questions with the board. And in some cases, those, or in most cases, those will be referred back to staff for additional follow-up as necessary. For anyone who doesn't look like we have anybody on the phone, so the practice that we use for participating in our public comment is to raise your hand, and Mr. Cook will unmute you in the order that I see the hands being raised. I currently do not see any hands raised, however. So give just folks another second if you do want to speak during public comment this evening. This is your opportunity to do so, and you do so by raising your hand in the participant, or actually, I guess it depends on the format of Zoom you're using. Well, I'm again not seeing any public comments, so we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the student discipline item. And so the first step in that process, we have to appoint a hearing officer. So I would like to entertain a motion to do so.
I would move that the Board of Education appoint Attorney Robert Dietzel of the Thrun Law Firm to serve as the board's hearing officer for the student discipline hearing scheduled for this evening.
So moved. Second by Polverento. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. So next is, do I turn it over to you, Mr. Dietzel, at this point?
President Lemmer, I think it would still be appropriate for you to entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Thank you very much. So to my knowledge, we do not have a parent representative present. So I will entertain a motion pursuant to Section 8H of the Michigan Open Meetings Act that we move the Board of Education go into closed session for the purposes of conducting a hearing to consider the discipline of a student whose identity is known to the board, during which the board will consider confidential student information that is exempt from public discussion or disclosure under the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, otherwise known as FERPA, and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Do I have a motion to that effect?
I will move that the Board of Education go into closed session for the purpose of conducting a hearing to consider the discipline of a student whose identity is known to the board.
So moved. Do we have a second?
I second.
Motion by Collins, second by Maury. Any questions or discussion? We do need a roll call vote for this. So I will go ahead with that. Treasurer Byrd,
Aye.
Trustee Collins,
Aye.
Trustee Maury,
Aye.
Trustee Mashad,
Aye.
Vice President Palvarento.
Aye.
I do not see Secretary Wheeler yet, but Lemmer votes aye. So with that motion and pursuant to the Opens Meeting Act regulations, we will move into closed session for the hearing. We will return back into open session at the conclusion of the deliberations. People are invited to remain in the waiting room if you so desire. And no formal action will be taken in closed session. This is just for the purposes of deliberation and hearing the report, etc. So individuals, I think I am not clear on the technology if you need to let yourselves out or if Mr. Cook needs to do that, but we will be doing so. Oh, and I see Secretary Wheeler is here. And you are muted, so Steve will get that taken care of. And you are also sideways.
Hello?
I can hear you and I can see you.
Oh, I am so sorry. I had to resort to the phone. We were having struggles here, so
Understand.
internet issues.
Do you want to be on the record for voting in favor of going into closed session?
Yes, please.
So it looks like we are down to board members, Mr. Dietzel, and staff.
That's what I see on my screen. Steve, do you see anybody else?
Nope, I've removed everybody. I'm gonna stop the recording too.
All right, so I would like to entertain a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Moved by Byrd,
I second.
second, that was Maury. We'll do a roll call vote. Byrd,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Mashad,
Yes.
Palvarento. Did you say yes? Wheeler
Yes.
and Lemmer. All right, unanimous. We are now back in open session. And we have Mr. Dietzel we have a proposed motion that you'll read out for us.
So thank you, President Lemmer. The board held a student discipline hearing in closed session, considered all of the evidence disclosed during that hearing, had a lengthy conversation and deliberation about that evidence, about the hearing process, has not made any decisions yet, but I do have a proposed resolution that I'd like to offer for the board's consideration. And that resolution states, whereas the administration has recommended that a student whose identity is known to the board be suspended or expelled for harassing and bullying other students on the basis of disability and sex. School administrators notified the student's parents of the specific charge underlying the discipline recommendation, as well as the date, time, and place of the disciplinary hearing. Pursuant to Section 8H of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, the disciplinary hearing was conducted in a closed session meeting of the board. The hearing afforded the student and the student's representatives an opportunity to respond to the charge and to present pertinent evidence for the board's consideration. Neither the student nor the student's representatives attended the hearing. The board has carefully considered all of the evidence produced in the student discipline hearing, and now therefore be it resolved that 1, a preponderance of the evidence establishes that on multiple occasions, the student harassed and bullied other students on the basis of disability and sex in violation of Board Policy 5517, 551701, and the Student Code of Conduct. 2, based on careful consideration of all of the following factors. And those factors include the student's age, disciplinary history, whether the student has a disability, the seriousness of the behavior, whether the behavior posed a safety risk, whether restorative practices are a better option, and whether lesser interventions would address the behavior. The board determines that expulsion is warranted. The student is permanently expelled from the district. During the time of the expulsion, the student may not be on school grounds or attend any functions at the district without prior written approval from an appropriate administrator. The board reserves the right to impose additional discipline up to mandatory permanent expulsion if the student is adjudicated for, convicted of, or pleads guilty or no contest to a charge of criminal sexual conduct in any degree for the misconduct described in this resolution. Consistent with sections 11A and 1311(1) of the revised school code, the board finds that the interests of the district are served by this resolution. Administrators are directed and authorized to implement all terms of this resolution and are delegated all necessary authority to do so. And finally, all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded. That's the resolution that I'm offering. If any board member wishes to move that resolution, he or she may do so, and then second and discussion.
I'll move the resolution.
Was that Bird?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Wheeler. Is it appropriate to conduct any further discussion or questions?
Discussion and questions would be appropriate, but I would just remind board members that during an open session meeting, we can't disclose the identity of any student. Any discussion on the motion or the resolution? President Lemmer, call the question.
Hearing no further questions or conversation, I'll call the question with a roll call vote. Bird,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Mashad,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Alvarento,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
and Lemmer votes aye. 7-0. And that is the final item, action item for the agenda this evening. So I would be entertaining a motion to adjourn this evening.
I'll move we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second.
I heard lots of seconds. We'll go Maury. All right. We'll close out with a roll call vote just to make everything official. We'll go backwards. Wheeler,
Yes.
Alvarento,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Mashad,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much for your dedication, diligence this evening. And Mr. Dietzel, thank you for your guidance and support.
Thank you for having me here. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.